And welcome to another episode of Keeping It Orange and Blue. I'm Ryan Evan, joined as always by my good friend, Urbana's finest, Kevin Ducey. What's up, Kev?
What up, Ryan? Man, glad to be here. Double duty this week. You know, we dropped the pod Sunday. We're back here Wednesday because we got news, man. We got things moving and shaking. Got to give the people what they want.
Yeah, I mean, the demand of this podcast sometimes is it's outrageous. I'm not even sure how. I don't even know how I work, how I am a father. I'm just able to do those things because of this demand from the people, and we try to give the people what they want. But more importantly, though, obviously the interest, the intrigue. There was a portal addition today, a big one. We're going to get to that towards the end of the show, well, maybe the middle. But the biggest thing I want to talk about today, we have a special guest, Kevin, and, I really don't think he needs any more introduction. I mean, I'm sure you're excited. You ready to have him come on, Kev?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited about this kid. I'm excited about his game, excited about his toughness. So let's bring him on.
And just before I bring him on, this one's for you, Dan. I know our newest subscriber.
What's up,
welcome,
guys?
Kevin, who do we got with us?
Marcus Domask. Yeah, dude, stud from Wisconsin.
I think one of the greatest Salukis ever.
I don't know if I can say that like that, but
I mean, your numbers don't lie. You know that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So welcome, man. Thanks for jumping on with us.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Turn Marcus, this music off so we can hear you. There we go.
Yeah, you're at a hotel in Orlando. What's going on in Orlando? What are you doing down there, man?
I'm down here just training with my agency that I just signed with. Actually, Coleman's down here too, so I met Coleman, been working out with him a little bit. We're just down here trying to get better. That's about it.
All right. What you saying? You're trying to get better. What are you focusing on? What do you need to expand in your game, in your opinion?
Based on a lot of conversations with Coach Underwood and all the coaches and stuff, I got to get my guard skills better. Working off the ball screens and stuff like that. So, trying to just bring out more of the guard side of my game.
Right on.
Now, when you say I would say this. I think you shot 50% from spot up open threes, which is super impressive. We've been talking about that. I think that's an undervalued thing, is making open shots. I think it's a clear, obvious thing for us. One of the big reasons that the staff wanted you is because the shooting last year was subpar. But for your game, not just what Coach Underwood was wanting, what did you see in your game that you feel like you wanted to improve in your final season of college basketball?
Definitely my shot. I felt like I had a couple like slumps throughout this season where my percentages weren't as good as what I felt like I could have shot. So just trying to be more consistent shooting. I feel like you can never be a good enough shooter. So I think for me to play at the highest level, I got to be a knockdown shooter. So definitely that. And then, just getting my body right, staying healthy and just, my speed, my quickness, all stuff like that.
Right on. I watched a lot of your film, especially when, rumors start popping before you committed. And, the things that I really like is like you got a heady game, like you got the savviness, and the other thing, like my biggest thing that jumped out is not only the range. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna tell all the fans who are listening tonight, if you want to go watch some videos, please do it. But my man pulls from 25, and if you don't have a hand in his face, you better that's cash money. But I loved your toughness, man. I love the way hey, listen, like Marcus, you're 6'6", you're over 200 pounds, you're big, you're physical, but like. You don't have the 48-inch vertical, but you have this. You finish at the rim with such effectiveness by using your body that really impressed me. And I think I'm really excited that you chose Illinois. What about Illinois stood out for you?
For me, just with 1 year left, like I really want to go to a place where I feel like the team can win. And I felt like Illinois had that. I had other schools that were really interesting, but some might have been more of a rebuild year, new coaches and stuff like that. So, I wasn't sure with that. But Illinois, I just felt like, we got a chance to win, for me personally, as a chance to just get better. I feel like I trust the coaches and their development plan,
Okay.
to just help me in my future career and stuff like that. And then, the fans, like the fans, the videos I've seen, and just even the social media already, like, I want to play in front of crowds where the fans are passionate and, want to win. And that Illinois definitely has that.
I am curious. We'll get to your visit and kind of, maybe anything that stood out in particular while you were there. But while you were at SIU, obviously you were focusing on, doing your thing there. But I mean, had you kind of paid attention at all, when you don't have off nights, or you would watch the tournament, when Illinois had Io and Kofi Coburn, were you able to watch and kind of see what Brad Underwood had been building from afar?
I had watched a couple games, but I didn't, it's not like I was watching it with the intention of thinking like, oh yeah, like I might go there.
Yeah.
It was more just like they were on and I watched, because I watch a lot of basketball. So there were times where I watched it, I wasn't tuned in enough to like, really be diving into how he's running his offenses and the systems and, like what they have really. But yeah, I had watched a couple of games for sure.
But that's a good thing, because they've changed their offense and defensive scheme so many times in your career that it wouldn't have probably mattered, because I'm sure next year they'll be maybe they'll probably stick to something similar they had last year. But now, before Kev, I'm sure you have a couple more questions. But so on your visit, what was your mindset when you went there? Were you kind of thinking like, hey, this is where if this works out here at Illinois, like if I enjoy this visit, this is where I'm wanting to probably go, because maybe it's close still. It's like, what, 3 hours closer to home, right?
Yeah, about 3 hours closer.
Yeah, 3 hours closer to home. It's the Big Ten, because obviously a Wisconsin boy, Big Ten basketball. I mean, you couldn't help but grow up seeing Big Ten basketball. So what was your mindset going into the visit, really? And then what stuck out to you on the visit that kind of pretty much sealed the deal for you?
Yeah, I mean, going into the visit, I knew I liked Illinois and, what the coach was saying. I'd been on a lot of phone calls and stuff like that. And I didn't really just want to take a bunch of visits. Like I think visits they get repetitive, almost like all these meetings with people, like the days are long. Like I'd rather be able to just, stay where I'm at and work out and get better. So I didn't want to take a bunch of visits. So like I knew Illinois was, potential for me. So I decided to take it. And I think what stood out is just, just the resources that the players have to just get better. I think that's a big thing for me. I feel like I have so much room to improve and get better. And Illinois just has all the resources for that. And they have the winning possibilities for next year.
Yeah, I think that I think the fans of the program, when they think about you transferring in, your 15, 16 point a game score at SIU, I think there's an expectation of like, oh, well, is Marcus coming in and is he going to be the replacement for Terrence Shannon? Is he going to be the leading scorer on the team? And my guess, like, what's your thought process coming into that? Because like I keep hearing a guy talk about a chance to win. Like I'm hearing it. Like, tell me what your thought process is. Are you coming in expecting to be the guy that gets the lion's share of the shots? What are you expecting?
I'm just expecting to, I expect to have a solid role. I think that, nothing's given. I feel like if I deserve that role, then I should get it. But I just got to come in and work every day and get better. But at the end of the day, like if Terrence were to come back, Coleman were to come back, no question. I would love for a smaller role with a better team. I feel like the more you win, the more you get recognized as a player, the more, just everything works out for you. So at the end of the day, it's the winning that'll kind of help me and Illinois get to where we want to get to.
And, I think that unselfish attitude is definitely one of the reasons Coach Underwood literally kind of handpicked you, if that's not correct, Marcus. He loved your game. Like, you stuck out. Like, what does that mean when, you've got a coach like Brad Underwood saying, like, we need to get better. We need selfless guys. We need guys that can rebound, who can hit shots, who are tough, who are my kind of guys, or everyday guys. And Marcus Domask is one of those. Does that kind of make you feel good? I mean, a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. I think you want to go to a place that you feel like the head coach has complete confidence and they want you. I think a lot of times people end up at places that are big, they have the social media or whatever, but they're not really wanted a ton. And I felt like coach valued me as a person and a player, and he really wanted me to come, and to kind of have that trust was big for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you have any relationships, or did you know any guys on the team prior? And then since then, obviously you're working out with Coleman down in Orlando. How have the relationships? How's the connection been with the team since you committed?
Yeah, going into my visit, I hadn't, I just seen him play a couple of times,
Sure.
so I just knew people from watching, but I had no personal connections to any of the players, anything like that. And since then, we followed a lot of teammates on Instagram and all that stuff. And, I met a couple on my visit. And obviously Coleman's here. We're in the same lift group. So, I have that interaction, where I'm, starting to connect with Coleman a little bit. But, for the most part, I haven't met many of the players. On my visit, a lot were going home for Easter. I came that Friday, Saturday. Easter was Sunday. So a lot of the players actually weren't there. So, I haven't connected with too many of them yet.
Really quick before, I got one more thing, but we've got some people watching asking questions. What do you like most about Underwood's coaching style? Obviously you haven't seen, tons of it, but from your conversations with him, just from maybe what you've even seen in person a little bit, what do you think about how he coaches? Because, that's been a big uproar to a degree of some of the kids that have transferred, and some people, national media have been like, Brad Underwood's he's always angry, he's screaming, but if you notice, Terrence Shannon, has came in defense of Brad and said, he's doing this because he loves us. We know he loves us. He cares about us. It's passionate. And if we're not doing our job, he's going to let us know. Now, in your opinion, what do you think about Brad Underwood's coaching style?
I feel like it's just a guy that's passionate, wants the best for the players. I feel like the fact that, some of these players have his back, play like all out of love, I think that speaks a lot. Those are the guys that are really going through it. So I think the media can sometimes portray stuff one way or the other, where I feel like if the guys who are really there, talk about how much they like it, I think that speaks a lot. I feel like at this age, if we get yelled, it's okay to get yelled at this age. Like we're not anymore.
You're a grown man now. I know people want to say kids still in college. You're grown.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's nothing that, he's just trying to get us better, trying to get the team better. So, if he yells at us, we probably deserve it. And off the court, the players said they really like him and stuff like that. So, I don't think I'll have.
And as we keep it orange and blue, meaning we keep it real, Marcus. So I've got one final thing to say for anybody who's maybe unsure about Marcus's game. Go to YouTube, watch how many game winners he's had. I told Kev about this. I said, he is clutch. I've watched since his freshman year, hitting buzzer beaters against the best teams in the Missouri Valley. He did it from his freshman year. He did it this year on the road against Big 12 team Oklahoma State, who is a borderline tournament team, but last team out technically of the NCAA tournament. He was the leading scorer, leading rebounder, leading assist guy. All first team, all MVC, over 1,600 points. I just wanted to give you your flowers before you join Champaign. So you can play. So if anybody questions if he can play, you might want to do some research.
Analytics said he was the second best player in the NBC by efficiency. So, hey, Marcus, we're really excited you're coming on board. I'm excited for you to bring your toughness, your shooting ability, and your experience. Illinois is one of the least experienced teams in NCAA basketball last year, and it showed. And I think that's something that you're going to come in and bring. And don't hesitate to be a leader, right? And I know that everybody will tell you that just because you haven't been with the team for a period of time, Terrence will tell you that, like, you're a leader. You're a leader with what you've done. You're a leader with how you act. You can tell here in our brief conversation, and we're just really excited that you chose Illinois. I want to apologize. If I would have known you chose Illinois, I live in Oklahoma City. I went to the game at Oklahoma State, watch you play. But no, we're super excited to have you on board. I think you got a great head on your shoulders, and just excited about what you can bring to the program. And hey, listen, I'll tell you this: as you know, we can get a little stupid. We can get a little crazy on Twitter. Don't let one bad game affect you. If anybody could tell you about that, Coleman knows it better than anybody else. For some reason, our fans love to pick on him.
I would bet he's already said something. I'm just gonna bet.
But just
I'm gonna bet Coleman said something to you about our fans and stuff.
Fans are passionate for sure.
Yeah.
Fan is short for fanatic, but fanatic is not rational, right? So we get that. Hey, get yourself some Papa Del's when you get up to Champaign. Still my favorite pizza. I'm born and raised right there. One last question for you, and this is a little nuance here. Have you some people have talked about Thomas Walkup and given you that comparison. Are you aware of that? And do you know who Thomas Walkup is?
I don't. I can't say I know who that is.
Well, okay. So from this podcast, Kev, does he need to talk to Brad Underwood and ask who Thomas Walkup is?
It probably needs to watch the video on it. Yeah. So Brad Underwood had 2 wins at Stephen F. Austin in the tournament. I think one is a 12 seed, one is a 13 seed. And they almost won a second game in the tournament against Notre Dame. Oh, they almost made the Sweet 16. They had a 6'6" guy.
No, I know who you're talking about. No, Coach. He actually showed me some film about him and kind of like showed how he's used players like me in the past. And
he was a mismatch nightmare because he could blow by bigger guys, and he could guard a little bit bigger guys, and then the smaller guys he could guard them.
And he could booty ball the smaller guys, even though Brad turned that for Jalen Pickett. So all right, just wanted to make sure because I don't think anybody's expecting, but that's what they're like. We're really excited that Brad's got somebody. You can do it all. You can drive the hoop. You can post up smaller guys. You can shoot the 3. We're really excited to see you do that in the Big Ten. Happy to have you on board, bud.
Yes, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, and thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your time in Orlando. And again, big fans, and thanks for joining us, man.
And go Bucks.
Yeah.
Go Bucks. They need to win tonight.
Yeah, this Bulls/Thunder fan has no love for the Heat, so go Bucks.
All right, take care, Marcus. Thanks.
Thank you.
What a fun start to the show. Great guy. Looking forward to him joining Illinois, and obviously super intelligent. A graduate from Carbondale, SIU. One of the best players that they've had in that program, definitely in a long time. So, so it's been fun. And with that said, Kev, I know you're in Dallas, and enjoying maybe an adult beverage or 2, but or 3. But so I'm glad that we got to give a fan question in here. So that's one other thing. If you subscribe to our YouTube, you are able to ask questions or whatever when we have interviews. And you know what?
Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that.
Yeah. From time to time, I will add that into the interviews because if it's a good enough question and I think it's worth to ask and I didn't ask it, I will 100% let them know. So,
and I'll share this, Brad. Hey, listen, dude, we understand. Like, I have no doubt that Marcus wants.
That's why I didn't ask him.
Beat the dog pants off Wisconsin. We're not going to be the show that adds any kind of bulletin board material. But yeah, I have no doubt he has no love lost for that school that didn't recruit him.
And then the second time around, they're like, "Oh, we noticed you're pretty good. Hey, we could use some veteran leadership."
Hey, listen, Illinois has been victim of that too. It happens, so let's not be fools here. But yeah, that's not whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And again, Dan, thanks for subscribing. We're glad your boy could join. Great, he's the one who helped me get in touch with Marcus. So Dan, appreciate you. And you'll have a lot easier drive from Wisconsin. You don't have to drive through Champaign now. You can stop there. You don't have to drive all the way to Carbondale to watch your son's games.
No more 57.
Yeah. So now let's go back to – I had a little teaser at the beginning. I didn't delete it till about 3 seconds into the show. We got to get back into some Portal combat. Man.
Finish him.
Yeah.
Flawless. Get over here.
Flawless victory. As I'm known to toot my own horn once in a while when I – get things right, and that's it's okay, man. 'Tis life, right?
You are the Swami.
'Tis life, exactly. If you've watched John Wick 4, John Wick 3, 'tis life. So As I mentioned on Sunday, I gave a bold prediction in my final thought, Kev. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, Quincy Guerrier was committing, dude.
And the second one?
That one of the two of Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon are coming back.
No. That
Nope.
was not. No. You might want to watch the show, Kev.
I don't pay attention to what you say.
No, I know. He was only thinking about his final thought.
That's true.
Which was a tangent he wanted to go off on.
Illinois is a golf school.
Yeah, Illinois is a golf school. That's all he was thinking about, which makes me feel great now. He's probably not even thinking about what I'm saying as we speak. But so my second prediction, Kevin, was that the Illinois point guard would enter the transfer portal. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, absolutely. And he did. He did.
And he did. Ding, ding, ding. So, and I said that would happen in the next 7 days, and that was 3 days ago. So, it looks like Illinois' point guard, Kevin, is in the transfer portal.
Definitely guy we're keeping an eye on.
And what's his name? What's his name again, Kevin? I'm trying to remember. It's
Ray J. Dennis.
Ray J. Dennis, who apparently, though, Kevin, what I find funny is there's other podcasts around, and I won't mention them because they're not Illinois podcasts, but so I won't give them the recognition maybe they might want to hear people talking about them. They think it's underwhelming if that's who the surprise point guard is. What say you about that?
Go watch the kid play. Like he does everything you want a point guard to do. He had a game against Michigan where he didn't score as well. He didn't shoot well. And listen, everybody has bad shooting nights. The best players in the history of the league in the NBA have bad shooting nights. It happens. I think he had 8 or 9 assists that game. He can get to just about anywhere he wants on the floor. He's more than athletic enough. Like he's not Sincere Harris athletic, but he's more athletic than Jaden Epps.
Yeah, he's definitely. I was going to say he ain't Jaden Epps athletic either.
Jaden Epps is plenty athletic enough to work in the Big Ten. I think we all saw that.
Yeah.
Big game against Iowa. I'm not throwing stones, but he's a little bit more. He's a little bigger. He finishes with his left hand incredibly well for a right-handed player. He has amazing court vision. He is a floor general. The one concern that you would have with him is a little bit on the defensive end. But I'll stand up and say this, dude. I don't have any concerns with anybody that's going to play for Brad Underwood about defense because he's going to get those guys to play defense. This is all there is to it. And
you won't. You don't question. You're not going to question his effort. That's the key.
No, and I think you can look at defensive rating, like if you go to Sports Reference and you can look at D rating or wherever you're going to get your stats from. Those are indicative of more team stats, right? Like LJ Cryer, his defensive rating this year went in the tank. Well, so did Baylor's as a whole because it's based on points per possession when you're on the floor. And if the other guys on your team aren't very good at defense, it's really hard. And Baylor was not as good team defensively this year. Toledo was a terrible defensive team. That's got some coaching to do with it, right? Toledo was an amazing offensive team. I think he can transfer some of the offensive skills to Illinois if Illinois can land him, which I do feel good about. I do think that this is probably the guy that people have talked about in several channels as the guy we're looking at. It makes a ton of sense. He's a Chicago kid. And he's a Chicago Burbs kid. Sorry.
Yeah, he's from Oswego, Oswego, Illinois.
Yeah. Shout out Mike Flair, my homeboy from Oswego.
And Oswego's finest. Yeah. Jared Beatty as well, Oswego.
Yeah.
And Oswego, we'll take Ray J. Dennis with us. So Ray J, I believe, Kev, number 3 in the Torvik ratings of transfers possible. It's like basically all his efficiency stats and all the analytic fun stuff, whatever point plus minus. He's number 3 in the transfer portal now currently. And again, a guy who averaged nearly 20 points a game. Let's get that straight. 6 assists, shoots nearly 40% from deep, nearly 80% from the line. He's a very good ball handler, takes care of the ball, crafty around the rim. And when you watch that Michigan game again, see, back then I was watching the NIT game
Yeah.
So this Toledo team was a dominant MAC team. Like Kent State was a good team. They gave Indiana a run for their money in the tournament. And that was a good defensive Kent State team. That's why they won, because they were a good defensive team. But Toledo won the regular season. I believe they won 28 games, 29 games.
Yep, he was the MAC Player of the Year.
MAC Player of the Year in a good league. It's not a crap league.
No, it's
like
not.
Ohio with they've had good teams over the last 3-4 years. They had good players this year. But John Gross in Akron is a very good program. John Gross has that program running very well right now.
Yeah, it's a good spot for John.
Yep. Yeah, and Kent State has always been kind of like the team that had been losing in the finals every year because they're that good. But Toledo, the last couple of years, had been a 25 to 28 win team, and he's been the best player on that team since the last few years. He also, can't forget this, Ray J. Dennis has NCAA tournament experience when he was at Boise State.
Yep.
He had a couple big games for the Broncos. So he's a winner. And he's got tournament experience, and the most important thing is he's a fifth-year guy. He's older, and you add that to Harmon and Domask, it spells the opposite of what we had last year in key situations with young guards on the ball. And again, to me, here's how I look at it: if Brad Underwood wants him, Brad Underwood likes him, he knows what they need, I'm good with it. I like him. It's definitely a plus addition. You know what I mean?
100%.
It's a plus. So if anyone's underwhelmed, then you were just expecting the moon, and you kind of need to be a little bit more realistic about that.
Well, I mean, there's been rumors that it's Tiger Campbell.
Sounds like he just wants to be a pro, Kev.
Yeah, and Ray J. Dennis has 50 straight games in double figures. 50 consecutive games.
I mean. Exactly, but he put a move on Buffkin at Michigan, who's going to be a first-round pick. That I'm telling you, he put a sweet spin move on the baseline. He did an up and under, like Kev said, 13 points, 8 rebounds in Ann Arbor. If that's a bad game for a guy, I'll take him every day of the week. So,
there have been rumors, that Tiger Campbell was the guy, and like I said, he might be going pro. I mean, it leads to the rumor that has circulated that it's Ray J. Dennis, and I think that Illinois is going to do what it takes. I knock on wood to get him, and I think the fans should be ecstatic if that's the case. And Illinois will go from being, if you're able to add Ray J. Dennis, Illinois will go from being one of the least experienced teams in college basketball last year to one of the most experienced teams. Illinois coming into the season had like 100 total starts. You look at the guys who'd started in college basketball that are starting 5 that had started a D1 college basketball game on this team. Terrence Shannon had like 54 starts. Matt Meyer had something like 32. He was mainly a 6-man at Baylor. And Coleman Hawkins had 14. RJ Melendez had 1. So, and now you're looking at guys like Harmon, who started for a couple of years, Domask, who started a whole bunch of games, Quincy Guerrier, who started for 4 years. And we need to talk about QG coming. But
yeah, we will actually after this.
And you can still bring back Terrence and Coleman. I mean, they could be the most experienced team in college basketball next year.
Now, jumping gears to Guerrier, and it's – to me, too, and here's to finish with Ray J and then transition to Guerrier. Guerrier hit the portal early last week, took his visit end of last week, committed early this week. I think you could very easily see something like that with Ray J. Dennis. It's not tampering if a kid takes a visit 2-3 days after he hits the portal and then commits a couple days after his visit ends.
Yeah.
And nowadays with this NIL stuff, the whole tampering thing is a lot harder, in my opinion, to not only prove, but to say, oh, they were talking to him before this and that, when you could easily buy a kid, let's just be honest, within the day they go hit the portal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about NIL. So before there wasn't buying kids legally, it was all underneath, swept under the rug, hidden in the dark shadows stuff. Now it's like, this is how much NIL money we have for you. Would you like to come? Ray J. Dennis, yes, I would like that.
Right.
He's an Illini. There's no tampering. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just hit the portal today. I wouldn't be shocked if he visited this weekend. He's actually working out in Phoenix right now, Ray J is. He's there with Chet Holmgren and some other guys that I believe he knows and through AAU and stuff. So he's been working out there in Phoenix, getting his game right. But I am working hard to figure out when he will be visiting Illinois. So I know it's going to happen.
Well, the challenge being is he has put his name in the NBA draft. And so he's going to see that through as best he can and look for feedback. So that's three guys that we're really looking at between him, Shannon, and Hawkins. I'll say this is that it's unfortunate. Ray J, I compare him a lot to Fred VanVleet is a guy I see in him. And Fred did not get great NBA looks when he was coming out and then has proved himself in the NBA without question. But that's what the NBA does. It's you look at like the guy who the Bulls drafted 7 a couple years ago, Patrick Williams. Is that right?
Yeah, Patrick Williams from FSU. Yep.
Who had done nothing in college, but he's just oozes potential because of his measurables, and that's the thing about Ray J. Dennis is he doesn't have the measurables. You know, he's 6'2". He doesn't have a 40-inch vertical.
He's 185 pounds, yeah.
Right, and so there's some of that that's going to, you know, and then Fred VanVleet was an undrafted guy after he graduated at Wichita State, and he's proved himself to be a really good NBA player, an all-star in 2022. I think I don't know that the NBA is going to adjust because of one Fred VanVleet for Ray J. Dennis, and I think that leans in Illinois' favor.
And I can tell you this, the dad loves Tim Anderson. So I know it's a very close family that love Tim Anderson. There's
love about Tim Anderson. Anybody listen to this podcast with Deion Thomas, like what he's doing for the youth in Champaign around? Like Tim Anderson is a first-class dude. I'm all about that guy.
So I just want people to know, like, my thought process and theories of why I'm so sure he's coming. It's nothing is 100% a lock anymore. I just want everybody to know that. But I've been feeling 99.8 for a while, and there's reasons behind it. You know, the dad's closeness with Tim Anderson, coming back to his home state. Let's say Illinois needs a point guard, and as currently has no actual straight lead guard. You know, Harmon's the combo.
Here's the keys. Here's the keys to the kingdom.
Like that's sexy to a kid who wants to bump his stock and status up, and especially knowing that it's needed and it can be the key contributor and factor for the team to make a second weekend push next year. So there's a lot at stake and a lot behind the reasons why I feel so confident about it. So I just wanted people to know that. Now let's transition to Quincy Guerrier, who came from Oregon, who in many ways has things that Illinois desperately needs. You know, it's a big who can shoot from deep, 35% from deep, definitely more consistent than Coleman Hawkins. And Coleman hopefully doesn't take that personally. I know he's done that before in the past with some tweets. It's not bad-mouthing you personally. It's just speaking facts. So Coleman Hawkins shot 28% from deep last year. Quincy Guerrier shot 35%. He's a better shooter and more volume shooter as well. So, and to me, Brad's been wanting a big that could shoot. He's been wanting that because it's like Hansberry's going to be a guy that can probably get you to hit it from 15 to 16 feet. Danger is going to be working on it. It sounds like Kev, from all indications, he's been shooting it better, so far in this offseason. But you can't just throw bigs down there and just have guys go, we're not worried about them shooting it all anymore. They're not going to shoot. You want a guy, when you put Guerrero down there, even if he has to play 5 a little bit, but mainly the 4, who can stretch the floor. He's also a better rebounder than Coleman Hawkins. He's more physical. He's got more weight on him. It's from the sounds of it too, it sounds like they're wanting him to play more like he did at Syracuse, more physical around the rim, where he was more efficient and effective. If you look at his numbers too at Oregon, he played a lot less minutes, which I think factored into a degree. He played a career low 25 minutes last year a game. He was at 32 pretty much all his career at Oregon.
Well, they had three 7-footers, so they were asking him to play more like the 3, and I think he wanted to do that to work on his game, and that's possibly a more NBA style. But I think now what he's looking to do is just have a good season, have a winning season, and be a contributor and where he best fits. And that's where, like, he goes back to the Syracuse days where he's the best fit. The other aspect about him that we need to think about is he feels a role where Illinois has been exposed for seems like ever. Seems like since Roger Powell, like we haven't, like, you think about the guys who have exposed us, Dante Scotts of the world, Tyler Wall from Wisconsin. Like, this is the guy who's going to guard that guy. He's 6'7", 6'8", 220 pounds. And he is going to be that prototypical Big Ten 4 that can match up with those guys and do some things. And you're going to put a bigger guy on him. He's going to go around him. You're going to put a smaller guy on him. He's going to back him down. And I'm really excited about what he brings. It's our third go around. We finally got him.
And I can tell you this, there was a lot of people who are like, oh, is he Coleman's replacement? I want to transition to
maybe
he could be Coleman's replacement, but he didn't get recruited specifically to be that.
Well, it shows, like I talked about this several times on this pod, about how I view Brett Bielema as the CEO of the football team. I think Underwood's acting like a CEO here. There's no guarantee Coleman comes back. No guarantee Terrence Shannon comes back. And so you've got to take matters into your own hand and put guys in the team who can fit. And the fact is that Quincy fits this team with Coleman back or without him back. And I think we're better with Coleman back. I want him back. I love for him to come back if that's the right decision for him. But they can play together. They can be the 4 and the 5 together, right? And Guerrier, like, he is making a decision here that shows you and that's the thing, like with Domask, like he just said, Marcus just said, we are getting guys that are coming here that want to win, and they're willing to sacrifice roles to win. If Justin Harmon wanted to be the leading scorer, he'd stayed at Utah Valley. If Marcus wanted to be the leading scorer, he'd have spent a fifth year. He would have gone to a smaller school. They would have had to transfer, their grad transfers. No, they'd had the COVID year. So I mean, there's these guys. They would do things that are different here. They're coming to Illinois, probably with the expectation of one of the studs coming back, and Terrence Shannon or Coleman Hawkins, hopefully, knock on wood. And they're coming to fill roles, and they get that. And I think that bodes really positive for the season coming.
And, one thing I didn't mention with Marcus, I wanted to give him his flowers in person because I know
he's a good player, man.
He is a good player. And everything I said to you guys is all true. Go look at his stats. Go look at his highlights of clutch shots. When you can be the leader on your team of all those major categories, beat good teams and still, just be true to yourself. He's sneaky quick too. But one other thing that I wanted to mention about him is don't be surprised if he wins out a starting spot. I just want to be honest.
No, I think the Mask is probably a starter as it sits right now.
Like, because just because we say starting, he may not play 35 minutes a game, but I think what he brings is something the team needs. A leader, a guy who's going to make the right play, who can hit the open shot, who's going to dive for loose balls, who's going to be a presence of positivity, of leadership. Yeah, toughness. Literally, he is a Underwood guy. So I wanted everybody to and if they go, oh, great, we got Domask starting, like that's something bad thing. That means Ty Rodgers will come off the bench. Okay, and that means Luke Goody will come off the bench. Guess what? That means you got a really good bench.
I mean, the guys played 34 minutes a game for 4 straight years in Division I college basketball. He's averaged double digits in scoring every year. He's averaged just 5 rebounds, right about 5 rebounds every year for 4 years. He's shot 36% over 4 years, taking 4.3 3-pointers a game. Like, the guy can play. Like, this is a proven commodity. And
100%. So I just wanted to knock that out. But so if someone right now, Kev, were to, say, Ryan, you gotta tell me now, and you can hold me to it. I already told you one of the two is gonna stay no matter what. But right now, I'd be leaning definitely heavily more on Shannon, not just because he's told people, his mom's told people he's gonna stay. But I think the money he's going to get coming back, as I mentioned Sunday, is clearly going to be worth it. But I would pick Shannon. So I feel a lot more comfortable about that. But the Hawkins thing, for people just to think he's gone, for sure, it's not. That's not the case. I think it's more of him. He's really wanting to go all out and push all this through to see, can he get a deal? Can he get a guaranteed deal with the NBA? And maybe push his value up even heading into one more season in college. So let the scouts and everybody see really what, he's available to do and what he can do to get GMs talking about him more. And I think next year, if he does come back to Illinois, I think he's going to be put into situations, Kevin, where he can show that and show what he's going to be doing at the next level more than he could last year. I
agree. And I think that when you combine some of the pieces around him, I mean, Coleman's a phenomenal passer for his bigs, for his size. And he could have had a much higher assist total this year if guys that make some open shots. We're adding guys who shoot well on catch and shoot threes. Guerrier, good job at that. Harmon, good job at that. Domask, good job at that. And what that does is when you have guys who can make catch and shoot threes, is it opens a little bit of driving lanes. And when you put a big on Coleman, he's going to be able to drive on him. Like guys like Edey can't come out there and guard him off the dribble, and I think you'll see that. And I think they're working things around Coleman to let him thrive. And if it is the NBA, good for him. I hope he does well. I hope he makes a team and makes lots of money doing that. But if he comes back, I think Illinois can really thrive with him.
100%. So again, Illini fans, as of today, I try to lead you on that right path. I've got Shannon. I'm feeling really good. I think about 80%. Hawkins closer to 50, and both right around under. Man, we're close to 50. Maybe a little under, but not bad. So we're gonna call it a night. Kev's got tons of NBA games he needs to focus on. He doesn't have any money riding on any.
I do want to comment on one thing too. I think the undervalued guy here is a little bit is Justin Harmon.
Oh yeah, there we
go. Harmon is a 33% three-point shooter, which is more than effective. He shot 34% last year. But what you really want to think about what Harmon can bring is he's a quicker, more athletic. And DeMonte was subtly athletic. I think DeMonte would catch a ball and get a dunk, and people are like, oh my goodness. So I don't want to downplay his athleticism there. But Harmon is a more polished offensive player that can be that DeMonte for us too. I mean, Harmon is a dog defensively, and he is coming here with the expectation of that role. And you're adding like a guy who's like 22, 23 years old in him. You're adding a guy in Guerrier who I think will be 24. Marcus, who's going to be 23, 24. If you get Coleman and Terrence back, there's a couple 22, 23, 24-year-old guys. Dane is 21. I mean, like Luke Goody. I mean, like we are going to have a team full of like grown men, and there's going to be a tough level of this basketball team that we sorely lacked. And it's not a knock against the freshmen last year that were thrown into the roles, but the Big Ten is a tough conference. It's a physical league, and it's good to have guys like Domask, who's 6'6", 220, Guerrier, who's 6'7", 6'8", 220, Justin Harmon, who's 6'4", 180 pounds, and an athletic and a dog. Like, there's just things that we're adding to this team that are going to make us much more suitable Brad Underwood style.
I'm going to work to get Harmon on this. I do my best, and I take pride in it. We've got Nico Moretti, guys that no one's ever spoke to. No Illini media has ever spoken to him. They aren't allowed to. And I got him on this. I just got Marcus Domask on here. Has anybody talked to him from Illinois media? Nope.
I know of.
Justin Harmon. I'm going to work on it. So
smash that subscribe button.
Exactly. So everybody on here, if you're a YouTuber, we're adding more. We have 120. We've got a lot more. Follow us on YouTube. But more importantly, I know y'all follow us on Twitter, but subscribe on Apple Podcasts. And if you're the Spotify type of person, subscribe there as well. But watch Justin Harmon's NIT highlights from this past March if you want to know what he can do. He was maybe one of the best players in the whole National Invitational Tournament.
100%.
He was dynamite. Now, my final thought, Kev, before I'm going to go enjoy some Warriors Kings and watch the Warriors go up 3-2. So, yeah. Anyway.
My boy De'Aaron Fox is dominating this game.
What's the score right now?
45-39, Sacramento.
Okay, that's fine. The Warriors will win at the they'll win in the end. It's all right.
Hope somebody took the over because there's 7 minutes to go in the second.
Even if it goes 7, when it's game 7, that's a young Kings team. The Warriors will get it done. Now, my final thought is not that. It's kind of what we've talked about for about half the show. Ray J. Dennis, when it is all said and done, the dusk, whatever you want to say, the clouds clear, the skies are, apparently
Orange and blue.
Yeah, when they're orange and blue. That's where the Ray will show through. Ray J. Dennis will be in Illini. Kev?
My final thought's going to be a tangent again.
Man, another tangent. I got to get some tangent music. Hold on a sec. Go ahead.
What would tangent music be?
I'll find it. Go for it. Let me hear your tangent.
Coming out of spring, I am so bullish on what Brett Bielema is building with this program. There are so many guys in key roles that have stepped up coming back off that Friday scrimmage. I am very bullish on what this team is doing. And I am very excited for what is going to happen tomorrow night. Illinois is going to have a draft pick, most likely in the top 10, in Devin Witherspoon. And the really cool thing about it is Brett Bielema and Aaron Henry are going to be there. The Illinois media, guys that are going to be there. It is a great exposure for this program. And while I was frustrated at first when Illinois hired Bielema, and then I started to dig into it and realize what he is doing, I am so excited at what the future of this program brings. We are probably a month away from being closing the book on what the basketball program is going to be and who's going to be on the team and what the roster is going to look like. And we can go full-fledged into think about what this football team is going to bring. But if you have the opportunity, I would tell you, go buy some season tickets. This team is going to be worth it. I think that Luke Altmaier is the real deal. I think a second year in Barry Lunny's system is really critical and key. We have depth at the running back position, which I think we didn't really last year. And we also tried to focus on really highlighting Chase Brown and what he could do. So I'm just I can't tell you how excited I am about what this football season is going to bring.
And you know what? Amen. I agree 100%. In June, we're going to ramp it up with OV talks. We're going to be just talking a lot of football. There'll be some AAU stuff for hoops, but again,
hey, how about this one? Back to keeping it orange and blue. This man right here, the Swami, told you all, if you listened, if you paid attention, he might not have said his name, but he knew Henderson was coming to Illinois when he was still committed to Iowa State. And Bielema gave that kid more snaps. Lunny gave that kid more snaps this year in spring ball than just about anybody as a true freshman, and he showed out. And so while he may not make a difference on the 23 football team, that is a stud offensive lineman, and I am super excited about that.
And his teammate, Antoine Hayden, is going to be a stud in the backfield.
That's our dude. That's our
Antoine
guy.
Hayden. And we're going to be bringing him on before spring
Joe.
Before fall camp. So there were some departures. The one we would need to talk about real quick, CJ Hart. So wish him nothing but the best. I know he's got some family on the East Coast. Sounds like he's a father. There's some other things going on. So and you know what?
Dylan Rosiak and Kalin Odaluga took that spot. That's what happened.
Odaluga.
That's my guy.
Anywho,
my guy.
we got tons of time to talk about that. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night. I'm the Swami. That's the Deuce. Swami out.
ILL.
I-N-I.